Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Rob Cameron, and right now you are tuned into channel B21. Now today, we are going to be talking about poliomyelitis, also known as polio. Now, if you didn't know, polio has no real cure. Now, before all of you go crazy and wonder why polio has no cure, let me talk about some of the basics first. Now, polio is a virus. More specifically, it is consisted of retroviruses, or proviruses, that are before and after the integration of viral DNA into the host genome. Now, the polio virus is very, very infectious, and the shape of it is round. Now, we have a few photos from the lab of the polio virus. So as you can see here, like I said, it is very, very round. And if you want to see another version of what it looks like, we have another printout from the lab, and it looks like this. So a question you may wonder is, who does the polio virus infect? Plants, animals, humans, both, all three? Surprisingly, polio virus only affects humans. The most common way that polio is spread is through person-to-person contact through the feces of one another. Now, it also can be spread through contaminated water, through cooking with raw foods, but still contaminated with the feces of one another. So the way polio is transmitted through the body is first entered by mouth. So by consuming the contaminated food or drinking the contaminated water or person-to-person contact, or all three, once it enters the mouth, it goes down through the bloodstream and enters the digestive system. Once it enters the digestive system, these are where some of the rather unpleasant symptoms start to show. So the symptoms for poliovirus vary from mild symptoms to very extreme symptoms that can potentially be deadly. Now, some of these mild symptoms only last for up to 10 days, and these symptoms can include nausea, vomiting, back stiffness, neck stiffness, other shoulder or chest pains, difficulty swallowing, and diarrhea. Now, as much as those don't seem very comfortable and probably wouldn't want to go through those, some of the serious ones include paralysis, which in other terms means paralyzation or not being able to move a certain part of the body, such as the most common one in polio, which is legs. And potentially, if one is paralyzed with polio, it could lead to death. So if you think you have the polio virus, based off the symptoms I've just mentioned before, you can go to a doctor like myself, and I will be able to tell you have the polio virus by certain things such as back stiffness, neck stiffness, difficulty swallowing or difficulty breathing, abnormal reflexes. I'll also be able to tell by your throat secretions and if you have cerebrospinal fluid inside of your lungs. Now, the part you've all been waiting for is the treatment. As I said right in the beginning of this segment, there is no real cure for polio, which is very scary. However, on the bright side, there's a couple things you could do to prevent polio from happening. So if you want to prevent yourself from getting the polio virus, there's a couple ways you could do this. The first is by the IPV, known as the inactivated poliovirus vaccine. Now, this vaccine has really only been used in the U.S. since around 2002, so it's fairly new. However, the most common one used is the OPV, also known as the oral poliovirus vaccine, which is used throughout the world and has been used for a long time. Now, the good news about these vaccines is that it is proven statistically that 99 out of 100 people who take one of these vaccines will not have the polio virus. Now, if you want to go crazy and limit yourself to really getting the polio virus, Another good way to prevent it would be by getting adequate bed rest, as well as having a nutritious diet and staying healthy, getting some exercise once in a while. Now, if you do happen to get either the symptoms of a poliovirus or poliovirus itself, and you have the pain such as back pain, neck stiffness, and other sorts, the only possible cure, which really isn't a cure, it just temporarily would help, is by taking painkillers or other doctor-prescribed pills. Now, like I said, these are only temporary, and this cannot cure the actual poliovirus. Hold on a second. Sounds like we're getting some info from channel C35 across the channel, and it sounds like we're getting some new news about poliovirus. So some of these new facts that I've just found out about poliovirus include the following. It is almost a requirement that every student that enters an elementary school must have taken the polio vaccine at least 3 times. I've also just gotten some new facts about the symptoms of poliovirus. It is proven that 95% of all people with poliovirus are actually asymptomatic, which means they show no symptoms at all and they don't realize they have the virus. Now also, nowadays, the symptoms of poliovirus are broken up into 3 categories. The first category is abortive symptoms. Now these symptoms are very mild, and that just includes fatigue, nausea, and vomiting. The next category is non-paralytic, which is basically neck stiffness and back stiffness. Now the serious category is paralytic. That includes paralyzation of any body part, which is most includingly today is the legs, which basically means that you can't move that body part. Now the last fact I just got in is that poliovirus has almost been eliminated from the Western Hemisphere since 1994 due to the great vaccines we have and that we force among most people. Now unfortunately, out in the East, in countries such as Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria, the polio vaccine is very popular and is destroying lots of people. Well, that's all for today, folks. I'm glad you tuned in to B21 to hear about poliovirus. Remember, I'm Dr. Rob Cameron, and remember, get vaccinated.